Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Parliament witnesses angry exchanges on the cash crunch issue. Both houses adjourned for the day as stalemate continues. Supreme Court takes note of chaos over demonetization, cautions government that situation is serious and could lead to riots, refuses government's petition to grant stay on cases in other courts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asks BJP MPs to reach out to people, wants MPs to educate people about demonetization and prevent misinformation. And US President-elect Donald Trump gets an endorsement from a close ally. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe calls him a trustworthy leader after meeting him. Well, Rajya Sabha proceedings were washed out on Friday as MPs from the BJP and the Congress sparred. While the ruling party members demanded an apology from leader of the opposition, the Congress pressed for the Prime Minister's apology. As the stalemate continued, the House saw several adjournments through the day.
The standoff between the ruling party and the Congress intensified on Friday. The Treasury benches insisted on leader of opposition, Ghulam Nabi Azad's apology for his remarks made in the upper house on Thursday. The ruling party members moved to the aisle and escalated the offensive against Azad. The government also accused the Congress of weakening the fight against black money.
इस आंदोलन को एक बड़े इस मिशन को जिसको इस देश के प्रधानमंत्री जो गरीबों कमजोर तबकों पिछड़ों के मसीहा हैं जिन्होंने की कमजोरों के लिए ये लड़ाई छेड़ी है और जो लोग इस भ्रष्टाचार और जो लोग दशकों से इस काले धन पर कुंडली मार के बैठे हुए हैं उनमें बेचैनी स्वाभाविक है लेकिन आपके अंदर ये बेचैनी है ये अस्वीकार्य है इसलिए ऑनरेबल लीडर ऑफ द अपोजिशन श्री गुलाम नबी आजाद साहब देश से माफी मांगे.
The Congress too upped the ante against Prime Minister Narendra Modi and accused him of causing hardship to the people with his decision. While demanding PM's apology, the Congress also demanded his presence in the upper house during discussion on the issue of demonetization. Meanwhile, the JDU slammed the ruling party for disrupting the proceedings of the House.
आपको सदस्य नहीं बात करने दे रहे, ये सब शांत हो गए, ये सारे लोग जो है वो शांत नहीं हो रहे, आप जो है वो क्या, यानी ये सारे लोग शांत हैं, उपाध्यक्ष जी ये सारे लोग शांत हैं, जो खेलती बेंच के लोग हैं वो सुनने नहीं दे रहे, आप सदन बंद करना चाह रहे हैं.
The chair sought to pacify the protesting members and made fervent appeals to allow the House to function. The impasse, however, persisted. Amid sharp verbal exchanges between the BJP and the Congress, zero hour and question hour were paralyzed. Even in the post-lunch session, protests remained unabated. The chair then adjourned the House till Monday. With inputs from Vishal Dhaya, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Lok Sabha was adjourned for the day shortly after noon following uproar in the House over debate on the demonetization issue. Opposition also raised slogans demanding the Prime Minister's presence in the House to address the issue. Here are the details.
Lok Sabha proceedings were adjourned for the second day in a row on Friday after the opposition continued with its demand to move an adjournment motion on the demonetization issue. Opposition leader of the Congress, Mallikarjun Kharge, demanded that the issue be discussed under Rule 56 and not under Rule 193 as proposed by the government.
Rule 56 में adjournment motion हमने आज भी दिया है.
तो मैं adjournment motion का दे दूँगी ना.
वो important है और उस adjournment motion को आप सम्मति दें ताकि discussion चले.
While Speaker Sumitra Mahajan rejected several notices moved by opposition leaders for an adjournment motion, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anant Kumar urged opposition not to run away from a debate.
opposition parties, all the opposition parties that government of India is ready for discussion on this notebandi. We are ready for discussion, and if they want to start today afternoon, we are ready. If they want to start on Monday, we are ready. I am not understanding why they are obstructing.
The House was adjourned for an hour and later for the day after Congress, TMC and left party leaders protested in the well of the House. Ravinder Shauran's report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, sparring over demonetization continued outside the parliament and in the streets as well. Congress and BJP leaders and workers held separate protests, each demanding apologies and explanations from the opposing camps. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister urged his party's MPs to go to the people on the issue.
More than a week after the demonetization move was first announced, there has been little improvement in the ground situation. While political parties bicker over the rights and wrongs of the situation, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked all BJP MPs to go back to the people. He wants MPs to inform their constituents about the move to avoid misinformation from spreading.
Government is concerned about the difficulties faced by some people. Based on the feedback on the ground, we are reviewing the situation on a daily basis, and government is taking measures every day to improve the situation, and we hope in the coming days the situation will vastly improve.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley also visited banks in the national capital on Friday to take stock of the situation. However, the Congress party continued its protests outside Parliament too. Congress workers held a protest near Parliament, shouting slogans against the Prime Minister and his government.
इस सरकार ने गैर कानूनी असंवैधानिक काम किया है। इस सरकार को कोई अधिकार नहीं था कि लोगों को ये कहे कि आपके बचत खाते में जो पैसा है उसको ये महरूम कर दें लोगों को। आप पर पाबंदी लगाएं कि पैसा आपका है, मालिक सरकार है।
10 दिन हो गए सरकार को ये डिमोनेटाइजेशन करे हुए। 10 दिन के बाद भी आज आम जनता परेशान हो रही है। एक गरीब, एक किसान, एक महिला, एक विद्यार्थी, छोटे ट्रेडर्स, रिटेलर्स सब परेशान हो रहे हैं। उनके खून पसीने की कमाई वो निकाल नहीं पा रहे। क्यों में उनकी मौतें हो रही हैं। घरे अस्पतालों में पैसे नहीं, इसलिए मौत हो रही है। शादियां नहीं हो पा रही हैं और सरकार जो कह रही थी हमारी पूरी तैयारी है, जनता परेशान नहीं होगी, पूरी तरह से झूठी साबित हो चुकी है।
The BJP held a counter demonstration protesting Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad's remarks inside Parliament on Thursday. However, Congress leaders were quick to defend their colleague, saying the BJP needed to understand the sentiment behind the statement.
इनके पास और कोई मुद्दा तो बचा नहीं है। इनको इस बात की चिंता नहीं है कि लगभग 47 लोग अब तक मर चुके हैं, और ये जो गुलाम नबी आज़ाद ने जिस भावना से अपनी बात कही है उसको ये तोड़ मरोड़ कर पेश कर रहे हैं।
जब देश के 55 नागरिक एक व्यक्ति की सनक और तुगलकी फरमान से मर जाएं, तो क्या देश के प्रधानमंत्री से जवाबदेही मांगने का अधिकार देश की जनता की ओर से विपक्ष का नहीं? तो चोरी और सीना जोरी दोनों नहीं चलेंगी।
Meanwhile, in Kerala, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and his ministers marched to the RBI regional office and sat on a dharna, saying the centre's move had destroyed the cooperative sector in the state. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
With directives on note exchange changing almost on a daily basis, banks are finding it difficult to keep up in many places. Now, in many places, the new directives are not reaching them in time, adding to more problems. Here is a ground report from our correspondent Akhilesh Suman from Phalodi town in Rajasthan.
Villagers standing in line to exchange their old notes for new ones. Coming from far-off places, They are here in Falodi town in Jodhpur district since early morning. For many, it's been their second or even third fruitless visit for cash.
तनाव तो जनता का है सर, बात तो है ही, हम 8 घंटे की ड्यूटी हम 18 घंटे भी करनी पड़ रही है, क्या करें सर, होता है ही माहौल के हिसाब से सिचुएशन ऐसी है तो हमें काम करना पड़ेगा।
प्रॉब्लम है पैसे जमा करने की और पैसे एक्सचेंज करने की। अब 2-3 दिन हुए चक्कर काट रहे हैं, हम 10:30 बजे आते हैं और 4 बजे बैंक बंद कर दिया जाता है और उसके बाद में हमें बाहर निकाल दिया जाता है और 2-3 दिन हो गए हमारा कोई चेंज नहीं हुआ है। आज हम आए हैं सुबह 6 बजे से और ये लाइन पहले से 4 बजे से लगी हुई है
और यहाँ पे आता हूँ लगभग 4 बजे लाइन लग जाती है और 4 बजे लाइन लगने के बाद मेरा नंबर आता है तो 3:15 बजे यहाँ पे बैंक क्लोज कर दिया जाता है और 3:15 में क्लोज करने के बाद में 3 दिन से चक्कर काट रहा हूँ यहाँ पे और पैसे मिलते नहीं है।
The police have their hands full to maintain peace outside the banks.
लाइन में लोग अपने सबको जरूरत है पैसे की, सभी अपने अपने चाहते हैं कि हमें पैसा मिले, पर फिर भी कोशिश ये कर रहे हैं कि किसी को परेशानी न हो, आराम से लाइन में लग के पैसा मिल जाए।
Even the cash deposit and withdrawal forms are in short supply. Many end up paying 5 to 10 rupees extra for photocopying. Some are holding marriage cards in hand, but they are not sure if they will get the money.
5 रुपए फार्म के और आईडी प्रूफ कराना है और फोटोकॉपी कराना है, उसके भी 5 रुपए लेते हैं, बैंक से नहीं देते हैं। बैंक वाले जो आज भी आप आए हो तो आज ही दे रहे हैं, बाकी नहीं दे रहे हैं। अच्छा, ये प्रॉब्लम है।
भी एक बहुत अच्छा काम कर दिया कल मोदी जी ने कि जो भी किसी के घर में अगर कोई शादी है तो उनको अपना कार्ड दिखाने के बाद में, जो अपना आधार कार्ड दिखाने के बाद में 2.5 लाख रुपए कैश की व्यवस्था की जाए।
2.5 लाख में काम हो जाएगा आपका?
काम नहीं होता है लेकिन एक बार के लिए ठीक है।
The bank is using the indelible ink. Its software detects duplicate IDs as well. But the staff say they have no information about dispensing 2.5 lakh rupees for weddings.
परसों से शुरू कर दिया था हमने। अच्छा जी। इंक वहाँ जो गार्ड है वो सबको जो लाइन में जो खड़े होते हैं ना, उन सबके पहले इंक लगा देता है वो, और वो वहीं चेक कर लेता है कि इंक लगी हुई है कि नहीं लगी। नहीं, 100 के 2000 के सब नोट है हमारे पास, 500 के नोट अभी नहीं आए।
People seem bewildered with his sudden turn of events. No one is certain how long their plight is going to continue.
This type of situation was only visible at the time of elections, and that also for a day or two. But now this is a prevalent situation of every day for more than a week. No one knows how long this situation will prevail. Administration has stopped all other works of development and law order other than managing this crowd. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha television with camera person Om Prakash in Falodi of Rajasthan.
Well, at a time when a united opposition has launched an all-out attack on the government over its demonetization move, the Supreme Court also posed tough questions on the sudden currency ban. The top court warned the government of riots if the prevailing situation of chaos is not contained. For the common man, there's no respite. Long queues persisted outside banks and ATMs for the 9th day since the demonetization move.
It's been 9 days since the government announced a blanket ban on 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. But the serpentine queues and chaotic scenes outside banks and ATMs continue. Banks and ATMs are still struggling to dispense cash to millions who queue up, with patience running out with each passing day. In view of the prevailing chaos, the Supreme Court on Friday warned the government that the situation was serious and could lead to riots in the country. Refusing the government's plea to stay cases filed against demonetization in high courts and other lower courts across the country, the apex court said the very fact that cases are being filed in courts all over is a signal that the problem is serious and of magnitude. People are going to the courts for relief. Therefore, we cannot shut our doors to the people. Chief Justice T.S. Thakur even questioned the Attorney General if there was a printing problem that has led to the massive cash crunch in banks. Though Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi denied any cash crunch, he did acknowledge there was trouble dispensing the newly printed currency from the mints to post offices, banks and ATMs all over the country. The Calcutta High Court also came down heavily on the government, citing loopholes in the implementation of the move. The Election Commission of India also questioned the government on the use of indelible ink in banks. The poll panel wrote to the Finance Ministry, asking them to keep in mind the upcoming by-polls in several states. Amidst all this, the common people continue to bear the brunt. Bank branches and cash vending machines are still struggling to manage the huge rush. The government's move to dispense cash at select petrol pumps also could not be implemented on Friday.
कई पेट्रोल पंप पे घूमे हैं मैडम, लेकिन जैसा हमने सुना था कि पेट्रोल पंप पे ये सुविधा मिल पाएगी कि एटीएम से आप डलवा सकते हो, लेकिन ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं हुआ। अब हमें वापस शायद बैंक वगैरह ही जाना पड़ेगा, एटीएम वगैरह ही जाना पड़ेगा, तो प्रॉब्लम तो हो ही रही है।
But to ease cash crunch, government yesterday announced that people can even dispense their cash through debit card by swapping their card at petrol pumps. But searching many of the petrol pumps here in Connaught Place, we find out that no such facility has yet been started. So the question here arises, people standing in queues at ATMs and banks will have to suffer for more days, or the government just made the announcement in a hurry.
Since the government's surprise move, sales in wholesale markets have plunged across the country and daily wage workers are struggling to make a living. At various hospitals across the country, patients and their family members are facing inconvenience in buying medicines, food and availing transportation. Truckers are also reportedly stranded on highways as drivers have run out of valid currency notes, affecting movement of goods in several parts of the country. With inputs from Anu Diwan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, demonetization is affecting the youngest citizens of the country, with many schools discontinuing midday meals till the cash flow situation normalizes. Our correspondent Navikram Singh gets us this ground report from Uttar Pradesh's Farrukhabad district.
Demonetization is affecting even those who not only may not understand it but also won't have much cash to exchange. We are talking about school children. In Uttar Pradesh's Farrukhabad district, the midday meal scheme for these children has been severely affected. Teachers at this school claim they have not been paid for the scheme for the past 7 months. They had been spending money for midday meals from their own pockets, but with the major cash crunch, even that has stopped now. The situation is similar in all schools in the district. Teachers threaten to up the ante against the government if their demands are not met.
ये नोटबंदी चल रही है तो बच्चों को खाना खिलवाना बहुत मुश्किल पड़ रहा है, क्योंकि ये हम समय से कन्वेंट कास्ट मिल नहीं रही है। अब खर्चे चलना मुश्किल है, नोट मिल नहीं रहे हैं, तो खुले हुए नोट की व्यवस्था हो नहीं पा रही है, तो कैसे बच्चों को खिलवाएं खाना।
अब रोज आलू खरीदना है, सब्जी खरीदना है, ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं जब तक फुटकर पैसे नहीं होंगे तब तक कैसे खरीदी जाएंगी। धनिया है, मिर्च है, मसाला है, तो बहुत सारी दूध है, फल है, इन्हें ऐसा तो है नहीं कि कोई उधार दे देगा छोटा दुकानदार। तो जब तक कि ये समस्या नहीं निपटती है तब तक के लिए ये निर्णय ले लिया गया है कि हम खाने को बंद रखेंगे।
Midday meals in schools are the responsibility of the principal. They have to pay for supplies on a daily basis, which is then reimbursed as conversion cost.
Common man to businessman, everyone is affected by notesman. Now it seems to be the turn off if school children in rural areas whose daily lunch at school is in dilemma. Schools are running out of food stocks to supply midday meal. They demand the government to facilitate cash withdrawal. With camera person Vijay Singh, Navikram Singh, Rajya Sabha TV, Babarpur, Farrukhabad.
Let's now get your roundup of the other national news and nationwide. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha will be discharged from the hospital soon as her lung infection has been cured. Reports said that she is breathing without respiratory support. Jayalalitha, however, is still in the ICU to avoid cross-infection. The 68-year-old leader was admitted to the hospital in November after complaining of fever and dehydration. The hospital later said that she was being treated for infection with respiratory support. Most places in Kashmir continue to reel under intense cloud, with night temperatures staying below freezing point, while Kargil in the Ladakh region registered the season's coldest night at -9.2 degrees Celsius. Srinagar recorded a low of -2.5 degrees Celsius, 4 degrees below normal. The famous ski resort of Gulmarg in North Kashmir registered the low of -0.4 degrees Celsius against yesterday's -0.6 degrees Celsius. The Indian Navy on Friday formally inducted 4 types of indigenously developed sonars that will boost its underwater surveillance capability. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar handed over the sonars to the Navy and praised the force along with the DRDO for its efforts. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
we are made up of something like close to about 50 trillion cells. That number varies, 50 to 100 trillion. A human body can be divided into about 33 different compartments. If you take an X-ray film of your backbone, you see there's a ladder-like structure. To understand the mechanism of anything, you need to look at it more quantitatively. So without mathematics, you cannot think of biology. The education is to solve the problems of life.
Watch Eureka with Professor L.S. Shashidhara, Head of Biology Department, ISER Pune, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe described Donald Trump as a trustworthy leader after meeting the US President-elect on Thursday to get clarity on statements Trump had made while campaigning that had caused concern about the alliance. Abe became the first world leader to meet US President-elect Donald Trump. Here's more. Japan, one of the US's closest allies, allowed itself a cautious sigh of relief after its Prime Minister Shinzo Abe described Donald Trump as someone in whom he had great confidence after they met in New York on Thursday. Abe, the first foreign leader to meet the president-elect, said he had come away from their 90-minute meeting confident that he could trust Trump despite the property billionaire's campaign criticism of Japan's contribution to bilateral security ties.
まさに今この人事で大変お忙しい時にですね、時間を割いていただきました。2人で本当にゆっくりとじっくりと胸襟を開いて。
Trump, in a brief entry on his Facebook page, accompanied by a photo of the two men, said, "It was a pleasure to have Prime Minister Shinzo Abe stop by my home and begin a great friendship." Photographs taken inside the ornate meeting room at Trump Tower showed Abe accompanied only by an interpreter and Trump by his daughter Ivanka, her husband and Trump advisor Jared Kushner, and retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. While neither side revealed details of the discussions, Abe told reporters at Trump Tower in Manhattan that they were able to have a very candid talk over a substantial amount of time and in a very warm atmosphere.
共に信頼関係を築いていくことができる、そう確信の持てる会談でありました。中身につきましては、私は私の考え方。
During his presidential campaign, Trump set alarm bells ringing in Japan and South Korea after suggesting those countries were not paying enough towards their own security. Trump hinted that the US could disengage militarily from the increasingly tense Asia-Pacific region by pulling tens of thousands of troops out of Japan and South Korea. Abe's upbeat assessment of Thursday's meeting will have reassured officials in Japan, although he refused to say if he had secured specific promises from Trump on Japan's security. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. There's a roundup of the other international news and global buzz. A soldier was reportedly killed on Friday as Iraqi troops advanced cautiously into eastern districts of Mosul a day after they paused their assault on Islamic State militants due to poor visibility. Airstrikes and automatic fire were heard since early hours, while civilians could be seen fleeing the fighting. Iraqi forces aim to take complete control of the city's Tahrir area and from there move into the adjacent Murarbain district. At least 73 people were killed and more than 100 people injured in a fuel tanker explosion in western Mozambique. The cause of the blast that occurred remains unclear. Some reports say that a fire near the tanker set off the blast, while another theory pointed to a lightning strike as residents were collecting fuel. At least 26 people were injured when an Australian man started a fire in a bank in Melbourne. 6 of them are said to be in critical condition, while others suffered from burns and smoke inhalation. The suspect reportedly walked into a Commonwealth Bank branch and used an inflammable liquid to start the fire. At least a dozen senior officials were arrested by Iranian authorities on espionage charges. The officials were part of a negotiating team that conducted talks with the West regarding the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. The identities or nationalities of those arrested were not revealed. And on to some cricket news now. India are in a commanding position in the second test match as they reduced England to 103 for 5 at the end of second day's play. Ravichandran Ashwin was the star for India as he scored a half-century and picked up 2 wickets. Earlier, England lost skipper Alistair Cook early in reply to India's first innings total of 455 runs. Joe Root and Haseeb Hameed batted sensibly after the jittery start as the visitors trailed India by 352 runs with 5 wickets in hand. For India, skipper Virat Kohli hit an impressive 167 runs in company of another centurion Cheteshwar Pujara, who made 119 to steer the team to a commendable score. There's a roundup of the other sports news in Sports Beat. Rio Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu will take on China's Bingzhou He in the women's singles quarterfinal at China Open today. Sindhu entered the quarterfinals with a hard-fought win against Baiwen Zhang of USA, notching up an 18-21, 22-20, 21-17 victory. In the men's category, Ajay Jayaraman will face reigning Olympic champion Chen Long of China in the quarterfinal. Canadian Milos Raonic booked his spot in the ATP World Tour final semis on Thursday with a straight set 7-6, 6-3 win over Dominic Thiem. The 4th seed coming into the tournament finishes second in the Ivan Lendl group behind Novak Djokovic. Thiem, meanwhile, finished third in his ATP World Tour finals debut. Magnus Carlsen and Sergei Kryakin played to yet another draw in Game 5 of the World Chess Championship in New York on Thursday. Challenger Kryakin briefly had defending champ Carlsen at a disadvantage, but the Norwegian recovered, and after 51 moves, the two agreed to a draw. Draws earn both players half a point. Both players now are 2.5 points each. The first player to reach 6.5 points will win the competition. That's it on this edition of the Bulletin. Have a good evening.